Welcome back to my stand-up channel. Now that the City Council has generously granted non-citizens the vote, it should be obvious why President Biden has laid out the welcome mat to migrants at the southern border. Today's illegal migrant is tomorrow's Democratic voter, goes the calculus, and pesky formalities like citizenship just delay the glorious process. Fittingly, one of Mayor de Blasio's last acts of vandalism against the city will be to sign this abomination into law. QGov. Ron DeSantis, who plans to deport illegal migrants flown secretly into Florida from the southern border by the Biden administration. Destination: Delaware, the president's home state, or Martha's Vineyard, Barack Obama's holiday paradise. If you sent them to Delaware or Martha's Vineyard, that border would be secure the next day, DeSantis said Friday. To that end, he allocated $8 million in last week's state budget to fly the migrants back to elite Democrat enclaves, including Washington, D.C. It was a masterful piece of trolling, but with a serious purpose that other states should emulate. After all, we know from open-source flight maps that Biden Air has been secreting illegal migrants all over the country, not just sending them to White Plains, but to Jacksonville, Florida, Alexandria, Virginia, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Long Beach, California, and other destinations far and wide. If the federal government is intent on keeping the southern border open and refuses to notify states when it dumps a new bunch of unvetted, unvaccinated migrants on their doorstep, it is up to governors to stand up for their communities and stop their services being overwhelmed by the influx. Ever since a post revealed that charter planes packed with illegal migrants were being secretly flown from border towns in Texas and Arizona into Westchester via Jacksonville, DeSantis has been on the warpath. Unlike New York authorities who ignored the story, DeSantis snapped into action and enacted laws to protect Floridians from the Biden border crisis. "You're having 200,000 people illegally enter every month. That's a medium-sized American city every month coming in illegally," he said. One of the smartest measures he announced last week was a crackdown on companies and non-governmental organizations that facilitate illegal immigration into his state. Whether it's buses or charter planes, anyone involved in facilitating this type of illegal migration in the state of Florida will be barred from doing any business with any state or local government agency. "We just cannot be doing contracts with companies that are knowingly and recklessly facilitating bringing people into our state illegally." DeSantis also will demand restitution from any private entity that transports or harbors illegal migrants, in order to pay for the extra cost of law enforcement, health and other services, because when you have a huge number of people, that costs a lot of money for taxpayers. Florida also will not provide taxpayer benefits to anyone who arrives illegally. As a deterrent to illegal migration, Florida also will ramp up enforcement of the law banning employers from hiring workers not authorized to work in the United States. DeSantis also issued an emergency rule to prevent foster homes and other agencies in Florida catering to illegal migrant minors unless the state has a proper agreement with the federal government, because he says local kids are missing out. The problem is that it's much more lucrative to take foreigners into these places than it is to help our own kids here in Florida. For instance, it's $158 for a foster kid, but it's $500 to $1,400 if someone's illegally here from a foreign country, and we want to make sure that those facilities are going to help people in Florida that need the help. He says 78 Biden Air flights arrived in Florida between June and September, with an average of 36 unaccompanied minors on each flight, all without the state's consent or any advance notice. While the Biden administration has claimed its migrant flights around the country carry only children, a number of passengers observed by the Post on two planes that landed in White Plains in October looked to be men in their 20s. Sure enough, a 24-year-old Honduran immigrant charged with murder in the brutal stabbing death of a Florida man is believed to have crossed the southern border illegally, posing as an unaccompanied minor before being flown into Jacksonville on one of the Biden flights. The clandestine flights into White Plains stopped after the Post's reports, and DeSantis' office says the Jacksonville flights stopped 6 weeks ago, around the time that the Honduran murder case started to get media attention. But illegal migrants keep flooding over the southern border, 1.8 million this year at last count. The only reason the Biden administration gets away with facilitating this invasion is that states, both red and blue, are helping to hide the evidence. Here's an low-crime fantasy. Lame duck Mayor Bill de Blasio went on Fox News Sunday morning to boast about what a great job he has done, reducing crime in the city. "And we did it bringing police and community closer together," he said with a straight face. "Stop gaslighting. Anyone who lives in this city knows violent crime is out of control, including terrifying subway and street attacks that ruin our quality of life. New Yorkers, especially women, are limiting their movements, if they're not leaving the city altogether." A typical snapshot of Hell's Kitchen last week saw a homeless man give an elderly lady a casual shove as he walked by in broad daylight. Her head hit the gutter as she fell. A friend who came across the aftermath of the gratuitous assault went to find the closest police officers to give them a description of the assailant, but they couldn't have cared less. It's hard to blame them. Left to hang in the breeze by Mayor Putz, cops have been stripped of legal immunity, so now they can be maliciously sued by anyone they arrest. Progressive prosecutors have combined with lawmakers to further thwart their efforts to get bad guys off the street. No wonder more than half the Big Apple's cops wish they had never joined the force, according to a leaked internal NYPD survey obtained by the Post last month. About 80% of 6,000 respondents feared that fighting crime could lead to lawsuits, criminal liability, or discipline charges, so many spend their days staring at their phones. Arrests might be down due to a demoralized force, but the latest NYPD crime statistics show that major crime increased by 21.3% last month anyway, compared with November 2020. Robbery was up 24.1% and felony assault was up 11.2%. Hate crimes against Asians were up a whopping 357% in a year. De Blasio is quick to blame the pandemic but makes no mention of the $1 billion stripped from the police budget in his party's Defund the Police orgy last year. Anyone this delusional needs to be in a straitjacket, not gearing up for a run at the governorship. Source: nypost.com. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.